If you've ever wondered why so many different diets seem to work for some people, yet fail others, today's episode is for you. Keto works until it doesn't. Low fat works for some. Intermittent fasting is magical, except when it isn't. What ties all these approaches together isn't a secret superfood or a fancy timing trick. It's a simple, stubborn piece of physiology, a calorie deficit. When you consistently consume fewer calories than your body uses, you lose weight. When you don't, you won't, no matter how trendy the plan. That's not opinion, that's how human energy balance works. But let's go deeper than slogans. Today, I'll show you what a calorie deficit really is, why different diets can create it in different ways, what the best research says about low-carb versus low-fat, how intermittent fasting compares with daily calorie reduction, why plateaus and metabolic slowdowns happen, and how to design a plan that fits your life so you can actually keep the weight off. I'll also give you a practical blueprint, food, movement, sleep, stress, so you can turn science into results. Before we begin, a friendly reminder. This video is educational and not personal medical advice. If you have a medical condition, are pregnant, or take medications that affect blood sugar or appetite, talk to your clinician before making big changes. Let's start with the foundation. Energy balance sounds abstract, but it's just accounting. Calories in versus calories out. If your intake sits below your expenditure long enough, your body will draw on stored energy, primarily body fat, to fill the gap. That's the calorie deficit. Scientists have validated this model again and again, even as they also acknowledge real-world complications, like measurement error, water weight shifts, and changes in your metabolism as you lose weight. So why do different diets all have success stories? Because many plans, low-carb, low-fat, Mediterranean, high-protein, intermittent fasting, can make it easier for some people to end most days in a modest deficit without feeling miserable. The mechanism is the deficit. The method is the diet. Now, let's test that against some gold standard research. One of the most tightly controlled feeding studies compared low-carb and low-fat diets in a metabolic ward, where every calorie in and out was measured. Over the short term, calorie for calorie, restricting dietary fat produced slightly more body fat loss than restricting carbs in people with obesity. That doesn't mean everyone should go low-fat. It means when calories are matched, macronutrient magic shrinks a lot. The key driver is energy intake relative to energy use. What about the long game, the real world outside the lab? The Diet Fits randomized trial followed adults for a full year on either a healthy low-carb or a healthy low-fat plan. The outcome? No significant difference in weight loss between the two groups. Genotype patterns and baseline insulin secretion, two factors many hoped would predict your best diet, didn't explain who lost more. Translation: adherence beat ideology. The people who stuck with their plan and maintained the deficit did best, regardless of macro splits. Okay, how does intermittent fasting compare to old-fashioned daily calorie cutting? First, not all fasting styles are the same. Time-restricted eating, like eating in an 8-hour window, performed about the same as traditional daily calorie restriction in a 12-month randomized trial. When calories were similar, weight loss was similar. More recent research on alternate day or 4-3 fasting, where you eat very little on 3 non-consecutive days per week, found modestly greater 12-month weight loss than daily calorie restriction within a structured behavioral program. That suggests some forms of intermittent fasting can help certain people maintain a larger weekly deficit, mainly because of how the schedule shapes their total intake, not because timing alone breaks the laws of physics. So the verdict is nuanced. Fasting isn't magical, but for some, it's a tool that simplifies eating decisions and quietly lowers weekly calories. For others, it backfires, triggering intense hunger, overeating on non-fast days, or social friction. Again, the right tool is the one you can live with. Let's talk about something that confuses almost everyone: why weight loss slows down. You start a plan, weight drops, then stall. Did your body break? No. As you lose weight, your body's energy needs fall. You have less mass to carry around, and your resting metabolic rate can dip more than expected. This is called metabolic adaptation. In a famous follow-up of The Biggest Loser contestants, resting metabolism remains suppressed even 6 years later, making maintenance harder. This doesn't mean weight maintenance is impossible. It means you need strategies that anticipate adaptation rather than being surprised by it. Two powerful levers can blunt that slowdown. First, resistance training helps preserve lean mass, so your metabolic rate doesn't drop as steeply. Second, NEAT matters far more than most of us think. NEAT is the energy you burn outside of formal workouts. Steps, standing, carrying groceries, fidgeting, yard work. Classic studies show enormous differences in NEAT between people that can account for big gaps in fat gain or loss during overfeeding. In practice, nudging up your daily steps, standing more, and doing little movements adds meaningful calories to the outside without hammering your appetite like high-intensity sessions sometimes can. Now, a quick reality check on early dramatic results. Rapid loss in week 1 is often water tied to glycogen depletion, especially on low-carb diets. It feels exciting, but it's not all body fat. Over weeks and months, fat loss comes from that persistent, manageable deficit. The tortoise, not the hare, wins this race. Another key to tolerating a deficit is satiety, feeling full on fewer calories. Protein helps here. Higher protein diets generally increase satiety and raise the thermic effect of food, meaning you burn a bit more digesting and processing those calories compared to carbs or fat. Estimates vary, but protein's thermic effect is often cited around 20 to 30% versus roughly 5 to 10% for carbohydrate and 0 to 3% for fat. That doesn't make protein magical either, yet in the real world it can make dieting feel less like a fight. Plant-forward meals with fiber and water volume, think beans, lentils, vegetables, fruit, whole grains, also help keep hunger at bay per calorie. Let's turn this science into a simple blueprint you can start using today. First, set a realistic deficit. For most adults, a 10 to 20% calorie reduction from maintenance is plenty. Bigger isn't always better. Extreme cuts provoke fatigue, cravings, and faster adaptation. You can estimate maintenance with any reputable calculator. Or, more simply, track what you currently eat for 1 to 2 weeks to find your real maintenance, then trim about 10 to 20% from that average. Remember, these are estimates. Adjust based on results. Second, anchor each meal with protein. A practical target many people use for weight loss is around 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of goal body weight per day, or about 0.7 to 1 gram per pound. Distribute it across meals to support satiety and muscle retention, particularly if you're training. Pair protein with high-fiber carbs and modest amounts of healthy fats, so meals are satisfying but not ultra-dense. Think Greek yogurt with berries and oats, eggs or tofu with veggies and a whole grain wrap, salmon with lentils and a big salad. The goal is full on fewer calories, not white-knuckle hunger. Third, program movement for the long haul. Lift something 2 to 3 times a week. By weight counts. Then pick a daily step target that's 1 to 3K above your current baseline and build gradually. Formal cardio is great for health, but the quiet winner for weight management is your NEAT. Walking meetings, parking farther away, standing breaks, yard work, evening strolls. If you've ever asked, how do they stay lean without working out, this is your answer. Fourth, sleep and stress are not optional. Sleep debt nudges appetite hormones in the wrong direction and saps your willpower. Stress can drive comfort eating and reduce NEAT. You don't have to be perfect, aim for better. Protect a consistent bedtime, dim screens late, and create a small wind-down routine. For stress, try brief breath work, a 10-minute walk, or journaling before the evening snack attack. Fifth, choose the method that makes the deficit livable. If you like structure, a calorie budget may work. If counting drives you crazy, use plate methods and food rules like protein plus produce first, or liquid calories on weekends only, or dessert every other day. If skipping breakfast feels natural, try time-restricted eating. If big swings trigger binges, stick to regular meals. If social life is your derailer, plan flex calories so you can enjoy dinner out without guilt or the all-or-nothing spiral. The best diet is not the one that's best on paper, but the one you can do on Tuesday when you're tired. Long-term trials repeatedly show that when people adhere to either low-carb or low-fat, results are similar. The winner is the plan you'll keep. Sixth, expect plateaus and plan responses. When weight stalls for 2 to 3 weeks, don't panic. First, verify. Track intake more carefully for a week. Small leaks add up. Second, bump neat. Add 1 to 2K steps per day. Third, add a little protein, a little fiber, and reduce calorie-dense extras, oils, nuts, creamy dressings, by a tablespoon or 2 per day.
Fourth, check your sleep. Only if weight still won't budge after a few weeks should you consider a small calorie nudge, about 100 to 150 calories per day. Seventh, beware of diet myths that steal your progress. Myth: carbs make you fat. Just cutting carbs burns more fat. Reality: in tightly controlled conditions, reducing dietary fat actually produced slightly more body fat loss calorie for calorie, again underscoring that total energy intake is king. Outside the lab, the best choice is the one that helps you stick to your deficit. Myth: if I fast, I'll lose more, no matter what I eat. Reality: time-restricted eating matches daily calorie restriction when calories are equal. 4 to 3 intermittent fasting can produce modestly greater 12-month loss, mainly because it effectively reduces average weekly calories for some people. If fasting makes you overeat later, it won't outsmart physics. Myth: if my weight loss slows, my metabolism is ruined forever. Reality: metabolic adaptation is real, especially after large, rapid losses, and it makes maintenance tougher but not impossible. Preserve muscle with resistance training. Keep NEAT high and accept that maintenance calories will be lower at your new body size. Myth: protein is just for bodybuilders. Reality: higher protein diets can improve satiety and slightly increase the calories you burn processing food, which helps many people tolerate a deficit. You still need plants, fiber, and healthy fats, but protein is a practical ally. Let's bring this to life with a 1-week sample framework. This is not a prescription, just a template you can tweak. Daily anchors: a protein-rich breakfast or your first meal in a time window that suits you. Greek yogurt parfait, veggie omelet, or tofu scramble. Lunch built around lean protein, a mountain of vegetables, and a smart carb like beans, lentils, quinoa, or a whole grain wrap. Dinner that mirrors lunch: salmon with lentils and salad, chicken or tempeh stir-fry over cauliflower rice and brown rice mix, chili with extra beans. Snacks as needed: fruit, edamame, a protein shake, cottage cheese, veggies with hummus. Hydration first: calorie-containing drinks are the stealth saboteurs. 2 to 3 strength sessions per week, 30 to 45 minutes. A step target tailored to your baseline. If you currently average 4,000, aim for 6,000 to 7,000 this week. Bedtime routine: lights down, devices off earlier than you think. Same sleep-wake times. Adjustments for your style: if you love breakfast, eat it. If you genuinely prefer a late first meal, use time-restricted eating, but keep daily calories in check. If family dinner is sacred, save more calories for the evening. If weekends derail you, plan 1 indulgent meal and 1 indulgent dessert and keep the rest normal. How will you know your deficit is working? Look at the trend, not the day. Because of water shifts, sodium, hormones, and bowel contents, weight can bounce by several pounds overnight. Track a weekly average over 3 to 4 weeks. If it trends down approximately 0.5 to 1% of body weight per week, you're in a solid and sustainable range. If not, tighten tracking, increase NEAT, and revisit portion sizes. Let's wrap with a rapid-fire FAQ. Do I have to count calories? No. Counting is one tool. Plate methods, food rules, and default menus work too, as long as your average intake creates that modest deficit. Should I go low-carb or low-fat?
Pick the one that makes adherence easier and supports protein and fiber intake. Long-term trials show similar results when calories are comparable. Why did I drop 5 pounds in 3 days? Mostly water and glycogen. Real fat loss takes weeks. Stay the course. Can I build muscle in a deficit? Beginners and those returning to training often can, especially with higher protein and a smart lifting plan. Everyone should lift to preserve muscle and metabolic rate. What about plateaus? Verify intake, raise NEAT, tweak portions, and improve sleep. If needed, reduce calories slightly or add a bit more walking. Plateaus are normal, not failure. What's the single most underrated fat loss habit? More daily movement that doesn't feel like exercise. NEAT adds up. Thousands of extra calories per month without a single burpee. Science. Here's your 7-step action plan. Choose your method: calorie budget, time-restricted eating, or simple plate rules. Set a modest 10 to 20% deficit. Hit a realistic protein target and build meals around plants and fiber. Strength train 2 to 3 times per week. Protect muscle. Push NEAT up. More steps, more standing, more micro moves. Guard your sleep and manage stress. Your appetite will thank you. Track trends, not days. Adjust with patience, not panic. Remember, diets are vehicles. The calorie deficit is the engine. Choose the vehicle you enjoy driving. Keep gas in the tank with foods that satisfy you and pick a route that fits your life. That's how you arrive and stay. If this breakdown helped, tap like, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Health and Wellness for All for practical, science-first guidance you can use right away. In the comments, tell me which method helps you keep a gentle calorie deficit most days: meal planning, fasting windows, or simple food rules. I'm reading and replying to all of you. See you in the next video.
Hi. Before you go, don't forget to grab your free ebook packed with simple, science-based wellness tips that really work. Remember to subscribe, like this video, and click the link below. Stay healthy. See you soon.